I never thought I'd like the taste of liquor flame, but I didn't know how it could hide my pain. I never knew how much I'd like those cigarettes, but they go so well with sorrow and regret. I never thought I'd
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Two Beers with the Band. I'm your host, Chris Schramm, and today I have a return guest, Miss Ray Duncan, a Nashville-based singer, songwriter, instrumentalist, and all-around just cool person. So, Ray, go ahead and introduce yourself. Give people a little bit of backstory, and then let's get into this beer you brought. I'm really interested in this. So,
yeah, thank you so much for having me back on. It's always a really good time. I had a great time last time. So I live in Nashville now. I'm originally from California, but I've been living here for over 6 years. So, March is my Nashversary. So it's been a little over 6 years that I've been living here and doing the music thing and learning a lot, cutting my teeth, and happy to be here. The beer that I brought today, I honestly just was picking this up and I thought it looked really good. I liked the can. I love when things look cute. That's a big selling point for me. I love flamingos. And also, I just really like Bearded Iris. I trust them as like a brewery in town or a local brewery. And I'm a fan of sours, and I saw that this was a fruited sour. I just wanted to pick something up that was like a little more interesting, than like just your usual IPA or something.
okay.
I mean, I love IPAs too, but I just wanted to get something a little different. So yeah, I like sours a lot. I like when they're actually really sour and not too sweet. So I'm interested to see if this kind of like how that compares. So
All right.
Want to get into it?
Yeah. Let's.
I like the color already. It's cute. Kind of pink.
Yeah.
Probably not going to be able to drink all of this, but well, you never know. It smells good. Cheers.
Cheers. Wait.
Uh-huh.
What are you getting?
The aroma
Yeah,
test.
yeah.
Gosh, I jumped the gun.
That's all right.
Well, I am getting strawberry for sure. What are you getting?
Getting quite a bit of strawberry, actually.
Yeah.
I'm getting a very, very light malt.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a little bit of a sour note.
Yeah, not so much the raspberry, but maybe that'll come through with the actual tasting.
Flavor.
Yeah. But that's nice. Reminds me of like a smoothie. I'm going to sip it.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, that's nice. It's not super tart, but it's also not super sweet. Like, it's not overpowering me.
Wow. I expected that to be more tart,
Yeah.
but it really isn't at all. It has like a over-ripened fruit tartness. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Not really tart, but just a touch. Mm-hmm. To cut the sweet. I mean, I'm not getting any sweetness really at all off this beer.
No, it's fruity, but it's fruity without being like, without being overly sweet. And I like it too because it's not too acidic. Like I used to love drinking sour beers a lot more often, but they kind of bothered, like, give me heartburn or whatever. So like this does not feel like it's gonna do that. It's there's no harshness.
No.
Yeah, I like it.
And it has a very clean finish. Mm-hmm. Very clean.
Okay, thumbs up so far for that one.
the flavor is front to back on this beer. It's very clean, fruit forward, but not sweet at all.
Mm-hmm.
Just enough sweetness to kind of balance a sour.
It's refreshing.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah. I could probably pound a few of these. I'm thinking, yeah. Let me. There it is. It's 5% ABV.
Okay.
Ale brewed with strawberry and raspberry juice. Yeah.
Solid.
Yeah.
I like that.
That's a dangerous beer right there. That is dangerous.
You like it?
Yeah,
Cool.
I could see myself drinking a few of those. Probably a few too many of those, knowing me. But anyway, while we keep sipping on this beer, why don't you tell everybody what you've been up to since the last time we talked? And let's specifically talk about your new EP, Laundromat.
Yes. So Laundromat. Laundromat is like the thing. This project has been taking up space in my brain and my life for the better part of 3 years. Just preparation, 2 crowdfunding campaigns, recording, and then planning, the PR and just everything else. So yeah, it's been a huge undertaking, and you'd think that for like a 5-song EP, wouldn't be so much, but I guess it's difficult to sort of know where to start. But a lot of these songs I've carried with me since I first moved here. Basically, songs that are 5 or 6 years old, and it just takes that long sometimes to do it the right way for me, to gather the resources, to be able to go into the studio and actually give these songs the production that I was really hearing on them, and not just put out another acoustic EP, which I've done in the past. 'Cause my music on past projects, my songs were more folky and were better suited to that minimal production style. But with this project and with this batch of songs, I knew that I was going to be going in a different direction, and going in more of kind of a rock direction, and that I would need, to go the full band, full production on it. And that takes a lot of money and effort. So, yeah.
So, what genre is this EP?
It's really funny now that it's out, because I've been sort of unsure how people would spin it,
Yeah.
Because it kind of covers a range of genres. And that's true of my whole back catalog of songs, of both things that are released and things that are not released. Is like I dabble in a lot of different styles. But I think this EP definitely incorporates elements of some soul influence, some roots, Americana, indie rock. I just like to think of it as like a very American sounding EP, because it's kind of this amalgamation of like these very American styles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's like piano, singer, songwriter, a little bit folk, a little bit, but I think it's, I set out for it to be rock and roll, and I think I achieved that, but yeah.
Some of the songs for sure.
And some pop too, some just kind of straight ahead, like, yeah.
Well, some of the songs for sure are, at least from my point of view, rock and roll.
Yeah.
And I can see the pop influence as well, but it's not overwhelming in the song. It's kind of gives it a unique vibe, at least for me. So tell me about the inspiration behind this whole EP. I mean, what caused you to say, these are the songs I'm going to choose, and these are the songs that I'm going to bring to the world with a fire and a fury?
That's a really good question, because I have a lot of other songs that are unreleased that are older than those songs, that were in the queue, but these songs kind of share a common thread. I would not go so far as to say that it's a concept project, but I will venture to say that, like, all the songs kind of have this theme of, I don't know, I mean, people are really kind of spinning it on this working class kind of narrative, which are really just stories from my lived experience of, like, working in the service industry for all of my 20s and late teens, and the things that I saw and the experiences that I had. And it's mostly about that. And it's also about, patterns of addiction, and it's about just mundanity, like the mundane things in life that we all are doing. So yeah, it's too loose to really be considered a concept, but there is a commonality, of, I don't know, the songs just kind of share this, like, these little vignettes of experiences in the world that I've had, and it's not there's only one sort of romantic song in the entire batch. It's more about dealing with myself, So if that kind of answers your question, but what inspired it and why I chose those songs was having that common thread. And so it just moved me to want to, I don't know, like, honestly, I can't answer. That's why I'm struggling, because I don't remember how I really arrived on these 5. You know what I mean? I don't really remember having that conversation with myself, because it's been so long that I've carried it in my mind as, like, this is the EP, this is what it's going to be, these are the songs. Like, I don't even honestly remember the choice, because I've just been carrying this with me for so long. So, yeah.
Well, I think you are right that the songs do appeal to the working class. And they do have that narrative behind them. And I think that they work well together, and that when I listen to the music, it does seem like I've never worked in the service industry as far as, food or whatever, but I can see the struggles through the music. And, listening to friends, family who have worked in the business and the complaints that they have, the songs hit that perfectly for me. And that's what I enjoy about them. And I really enjoy the song Waitress most of all on the album. So far, that's my favorite, and I have a feeling that's probably going to stay my favorite. But if you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about the song Waitress.
Yeah, so it's, I know I was telling you earlier before we got started, but that is a lot of people's favorite, which is so interesting to me. It felt like an interesting choice to open the collection with that song, because it's a bit of a ballad, and then we kind of go into the rest of the EP, which is that more rock sort of feel, up-tempo feel. But I wanted to start on that kind of quiet and intimate note, because Waitress, even though Laundromat is the title track, Waitress is really like the backbone of what this EP is about and the concepts that I'm, like, exploring, So, yeah, that song was born out of my experiences working in the service industry and working as a server in high volume restaurants, and the experiences that I had. Because at its best, you're still working, you're still somewhere. Your time is not your own, you're clocked in and you're being paid. Certainly you're earning a living, but you're not earning a living doing necessarily what you want to do, or at least I wasn't, you know. So there's that aspect of it. At its very best, it's a bit mundane and a bit soul crushing. And at its worst, it's just actually can be very, bad for your mental health and physically straining and a number of other things, and I was working I wouldn't even call it post-pandemic because it was kind of like 2021-ish, and there was a lot of unrest and unease just with the general public and people who we were dealing with. There was a lot of like hostility towards us, service industry workers having to enforce rules and guidelines.
Right.
So that kind of added a layer of animosity where there already sort of is some built in to that customer service like dynamic. So yeah, that song, even though I've had a lot of difficult experiences working in restaurants, there's also something about it that stays with you. I don't know, there's something really poetic about it, and the camaraderie and the people you meet and the people, washing the dishes and the people cooking the food. It's like you get into a rhythm during a really busy shift where everybody's just kind of like fighting for their lives and just running totally ragged. And I always imagined like a long shot from like the front of house restaurant, white tablecloths, beautiful, whatever, to following the server with the stack of plates back into back of house. And then it's like you can smell, the smell of hot, weird dishwater and vape juice, and you can hear the the rap music and everything, and people are speaking Spanish around you. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's this kind of interesting juxtaposition. It's like backstage of the world, sort of.
Yeah.
And there's something really exhilarating about that environment as well. So I don't want to make it sound like it was all bad. I just, it was just a time in my life. You know what I mean? Yeah. And only if you've really like been in it or worked in that capacity can you kind of understand the mixed feelings that go along with it, But
well,
yeah.
Doing that job has to be difficult, to be on your feet the whole time, and no matter how you feel that day, you got to put on a pretty face or a happy face, or you gotta be people friendly, even if you came into work and your brain says, I just can't people today.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have a choice. You have to. So, you're putting on a show while you're...
It is showbiz.
Yeah.
Totally. It's showbiz. Some people are really good at it. Some people are like, can just kind of let everything roll off and, just leave that with them when they go home. They leave it at work and they don't think about the interactions they had. They don't stew on it. I know people who've waited tables for a long time and can just get their money, roll the silverware, go home, and it's all good,
Yeah.
It just wasn't that way for me. It just was hard for me. So.
Well, I mean, not doing that job is not for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I know me, and that job is definitely not for me. I couldn't do it. If I had to, I would, but I would rather not.
Right.
So, who is out there listening to this new EP and enjoying it?
Well, I mean, you talking like demographics wise, or just like in general public?
Who has messaged you, contacted you in any way, and given you feedback on the EP good, bad, indifferent, whatever. Just who's out there listening to your music?
Well, it's all been really positive. I mean, I have my base of listeners from back home in California who have always been really supportive of my work, and they're all saying positive things. These are the people who funded my crowdfunding campaigns and helped me out so many different ways. So there's sort of the California contingent of people. And then there's my Nashville people. And it's always nice when you put out something. So much music gets released every single day. And in Nashville, there's so many musicians. And, my whole Instagram feed is just pretty much, it's like other colleagues, it's other musicians and people trying to make it as artists. And so it is kind of funny because every day people are like, I just put out my single, we just did this. And it's so much saturation that you get kind of desensitized a little bit. Even if it's someone you might really care about, it's just kind of like, oh, I don't have time to listen to that. It can get sort of just to be just a lot. You don't have time enough. So for people to be sharing it on their stories or messaging me or anything was just like meant a lot, because I know it's even amongst this sort of din that we're surrounded by in this artist community here. So,
well, you've mentioned crowdfunding a couple of times.
Yeah.
How exactly did you do that? And you said 2 times you did this. Can you let the audience know about the process of crowdfunding and how it's got to be unique for musicians to do something like that? And just, if you don't mind, go through the steps of how that happens.
Yes. So I did 2 campaigns for this EP, actually. I've done 3 total just in my life for my own career. I did one for a single a few years ago. But for Laundromat, I did 2 crowdfunding campaigns. The first one was a GoFundMe. So pretty standard setup, GoFundMe setup. And I don't even remember the details of that one. I don't remember what my goal was. But that was essentially to get me into the studio to record. And it did. I was able to do that thanks to that campaign and a couple of really generous donors. So that was kind of straightforward, pretty uncomplicated. I just made a couple videos. I shared it to my networks, my socials, my email list, and then people chimed in, and I was able to get into the studio. So that was really incredible. And then come around to June of last year, that's when I did sort of a more serious crowdfunding campaign. And I hired a consultant who had a successful track record with other women artists in town. And she was fantastic. I learned a lot working with her. There was a lot of spreadsheets. There were a lot of to-do lists. It was very daunting because I had to send a lot of personal messages to people, and that felt very vulnerable. I had to create content every day. And we had to have rewards. We went through a platform called I Fund Women. It was a great platform. They do they do crowdfunding and grants as well. So that's like it's like Women's Day, right? It's Women's Month or something. So it's a good thing to know because they help women get money for things. So anyway, they were a great platform to use, and I made t-shirts, I made beer koozies, I made stickers. I offered background singing services. I offered house concerts. There were a lot of different rewards at different price points. It was really important that we had rewards available for as little as like $5 and as much as $1,000. Excuse me. So that everybody could kind of pick what was within their, budget. So yeah, it ran for the month of June last year. And then when it was done, that was it. And I took what was earned from that, and that enabled me to, pay off the rest of the recording and hire PR and make other merch and do all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it's definitely couldn't have done this without having done that. So
how is it being a female indie artist in Nashville? What are the hurdles that you have to jump over? What's it like to be a female indie artist in the music business?
It's kind of a loaded question. And I thank you for asking it, but also it's difficult to answer it without giving you like an entire dissertation, because it's sort of like where do you even start? I mean, I will say, like, this is a good town. People are good. I mean, I don't actually experience a lot of sexism in the wild. And when I do, it's such a novelty, you know, when I do, I'm kind of like, oh my God, you know, like how fascinating, you know, because I think I make a point of surrounding myself with good people, good men, good people of all genders. And so it's kind of like, yeah, it's just such a novelty. If I do encounter that ever, it's like, oh, wow, you're really like living in the past, man, you know? But yeah, Nashville, you know, I think the music industry as a whole is really paying attention to women right now a lot. I mean, if you looked at the Grammys, you know, how women just completely annihilated at the Grammys and they were all fantastic. So I think it's interesting that in a larger sense, the world, consumers of music are really into women right now, are into the female artists, especially queer female artists. And I think that's a really awesome indicator of like what the future holds and that there might be space for me, you know? Yeah, I don't know. It's more in like subtle things, and these things are also not unique to Nashville. They're just, you know, I've been in showbiz for most of my life. You know, I've been playing gigs since I was 13 years old. And it's just so kind of part of things that I forget. I don't forget that I'm a woman because it's an important part of, you know, my identity and this and that. But I'm trying to hone in on like a point here. It's just, it's so subtle, you know, but there's certain things that happen when people meet me and they find out that I play music. The first thing that they ask me is if I'm a singer. And I just find it so funny. Like, why? Like, why do you think I'm a singer? Why not a guitar player? Why not a piano player? Why not an instrumentalist? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I know that's like kind of a hot take, but I'm speaking from my lived experience.
No,
you know?
Honestly, it makes me think if I just met you and I said, you know, what do you do for a living? And you said, I'm in a band. In my head, I would immediately put you as a singer. And I'm trying to actually figure out why I would do that. And I would ask you probably without even thinking about it, oh, are you a singer? And if you said, no, I play the drums. Okay, cool. But for some reason, you're right. And you bringing that up makes me look at myself. That's crazy. I wonder why people do that. I wonder if it's because so many of the indie bands or the up and coming, you know, major label bands that have, you know, are mixed with males and females. Come to think of it, the female is usually the singer.
Yeah. And there's a number of reasons for that. It's a question of really, this is something I've thought a lot about in my life, and I haven't arrived at a conclusion, or like, these are just observations and things that I like take note of. And people who've asked me that, they're just making conversation. I'm not immediately like, oh, you're a jerk or you're sexist or this. I think it's interesting. because, yeah, I don't know. It's like,
Well, do you tell those people, I play the guitar,
yes.
I write, I sing, I play the piano, I can do everything. I'm a one-woman band.
In the past, I've sometimes just, if it was somebody who I knew I was just meeting in passing and I didn't need to tell them my whole life story, I've just been like, I'm a guitar player. Just because that's true.
Yeah.
It's just not the whole picture. But I have just been like, I'm a piano player. You know what I mean? And just kind of seen their like reaction. I know that sounds kind of like weird. I'm not like weird. I'm not like messing with people like that. I just mean in the past, it's like when I felt like it was coming from a sort of place, it's a vibe thing. Like when I feel like it's coming from a place.
Yeah.
I know it's so not specific. Anyway, yeah, that's a loaded question because it's weird to be a woman just in the world in general. And so in the music industry and in this city, that's just a flavor. Like the being a musician and being a woman as a musician in the world, that's one flavor of just the overall experience of being a woman in the world. Because I'm like, I didn't ask for this, Like, I like it. I'm fine with being a woman. But it's like not the core tenet of my identity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Ray is up here and woman is like this part of me that I'm at peace with, that I celebrate, but it's like secondary to my actual identity. Do you know what I mean?
So, who is Ray? A musician?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
I'm me. Sorry.
Yeah, you are you. I'm just that... You're a musician, a singer, a songwriter, a one-woman band.
Yeah.
And that's first and foremost.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And everything else is secondary.
Kind of, yeah. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm a woman. I'm not like anything else. It's just sort of like I'm a person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when you're moving through the world, I can tell when I interact with people that whether they think that women are people. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no.
Yeah.
Sadly, even in this day and age, yes, I can.
Yeah.
Young, old, there are people out there that still do look down on women.
Not even, it's what's more like kind of insidious than looking down is being like, oh, they're a different species. I don't understand them. I hear that a lot, the I don't understand them thing.
Well, I think, honestly, a lot of that is just people talking. Because,
right.
We're taught in media, we're taught growing up,
right.
Not necessarily taught, but we hear it so much throughout our entire lives. Oh, women and men are completely different. And it's just kind of funny when a guy says, you know what, I just don't understand women. Right. It's just something that, as a guy, when I've said it, honestly, a lot of the times I'm just either making a remark or I'm just making conversation.
Totally.
Totally. It's something I say. It's not necessarily something I believe. Mm-hmm. Or when I have interactions with a female and I think, it's like, what are you doing? I just don't understand why you're doing this.
That's so funny.
In the back of my brain, I say, you know what? She thinks differently than I do. Sure. She feels differently than I do.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Because if men and women acted and thought and felt exactly the same, life would be boring. Music would be boring.
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah. No, and so I mean, I know I went off on a tangent with that. It's a very interesting question, and I really don't know how to answer it because I only know my own experience, and I've heard just horror stories from female, colleagues, young and old, of, different things that have happened, and I've been fortunate enough to really not, I don't have any horror stories like that. You know what I mean? But for me, it's more of just the subtle interactions with people where you can notice like how somebody's addressing you and what their preconceptions are, So yeah, but.
Do you think as a female you need to listen to that when you meet someone and in the back of your head what they're saying and what they're thinking are two different things? Do you kind of lean in on that, or do you take people at their word?
A little bit of both. I think I've had to learn. Yeah, I think I've had to learn how to not trust everybody, I think I make a point of, and I'm just lucky to be, again, just surrounded by good people in my circle and surrounded by good, male collaborators and colleagues and stuff. Like every guy producer I've worked with has been amazing and has absolutely just done everything to uplift my ideas. So I've been, and that's the way it should be, and so I've been really lucky in that way. So I don't have a lot of problems because of that,
How have you changed since your first release?
That's a great question. Like my first release ever in my career?
Yeah. Let's go back that far.
I mean, artistically, I've just gotten better because I've gotten better at music, and I've gotten closer to being able to really put what's in my head into the world. My first release was a very folky kind of sad girl sort of. That's actually only available on Bandcamp. My first release, my EP, This Road. I recorded that in California when I was about like 19 or something. And those are still good songs. I'll still go back and listen to that and think like, oh, this is cool. I'm proud of this. I think my dad produced it. Like I recorded some of it at home, and then like we kind of cobbled it together, and then it came out sounding really great. But since then, I've moved to Nashville and, grown up a lot, and being here, I think we talked about this last time I came on your show, but being in this city is really inspiring, and it makes you better as a musician because you can go out and you play with people and the rounds, and you see people and you go like, well, I want to write that kind of song, but I want to do it my way, and I want to do it, this type of way. So all of that to say, the main things is I quit smoking. I, moved here, got better at guitar. That's kind of the short version, and I put out several other things, so.
Well, I know as a young lady moving to Nashville from California, it had to be a little scary.
Oh man, I was so terrified, and I was like totally dissociated the whole time. Because I had sort of left a relationship in California, kind of to come here. That was agreed upon, but it was still like I was kind of a mess, emotionally. I was like, So I came here, and my mom was already living here for a while. She is a accomplished songwriter here in town. I'd visited her a few times, and so I knew kind of what I was getting into, and I'd met a few people and like co-written with a few people already on visits here. So like I wasn't just coming in totally blind. I'd I'd played at a few places, and I was like excited to be part of the community. But no, I was definitely really nervous, and I just, I kind of tried to hide a little bit. Probably drank more than I should, just trying to be cool with people, but. And then, of course, I moved here in 2019, and then it was 2020. But I got a lot done. I had a lot going on between March 2019 and, January 2020. So, yeah.
What fears have you crushed since you moved to Nashville?
Wow. Again, that's a great question. Crushing fears. Fear of trying. Fear of giving a dang. I think that's the biggest one. All the other ones sort of pale in comparison. I mean, one of the songs on the EP, Used to It, is sort of about like this self-sabotaging,
Yeah.
And, because that's the thing, if you never try, then you can never fail, like if you never stick your neck out, if you never put yourself out there, you won't get that horrible rejection that you're sure is going to happen, so I really thought that I came here to be seen. And I did, but it took a long time for me to actually come around to that. I think I just wanted to sort of like play my songs, people to validate me, compliment me on them, and then, just go do whatever with my friends. I was just sort of playing at the same clubs and kind of like just afraid to branch out, Yeah. So I think what I've conquered, and probably because of going through 2020 and that and not being able to play, I think I realized that I didn't want to take it for granted, the opportunities of playing live and being in community and playing music in community. And so once that was possible for me again, I was definitely not going to like squander that experience.
So stepping out of your comfort zone was a huge fear that you have crushed, and you've moved past it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about live performance, especially this EP and these songs.
Mm-hmm. Well, live performance, I guess what about live performance do you think? Are you like just the experience of it, or?
Your emotions in this EP, singing these songs, getting up there and pushing this music.
Well, yeah, it's powerful. I mean, these songs are new to most of the people who are hearing them now, unless you've heard me playing them live in my band in Nashville. But to most of the people who are just hearing it like on a playlist or, stumbling upon it some way, somehow, these songs are new to them, but they're not new to me artistically anymore. And so they do still carry like a power. And when I sing them, I feel proud of them and I'm excited to share them. But I'm also ready to move on from them. I'm also ready to kind of, pivot to my new material and arrange new music with my band and sort of like think about what's next. But I know that I need to, play the songs on the EP for a little longer, probably.
Are these songs on this EP showing up in different playlists?
Yes, they are. They are. And I mean, like, I do owe that to my, to a publicist that I hired. Sweetheart PR, shout out to them. She's amazing. She definitely got me on some playlists. I had a few other people just like from Facebook, some playlist curators who actually reached out and got me on some really awesome playlists with a lot of traffic and streaming and stuff. So yeah, it's, you know, the EP is being listened to, especially Used to It, since that was my lead single, so that had a bit of a head start. But yeah, that's been showing up on all kinds of playlists, which is really exciting.
Does performing live influence your writing?
I would say no, because when I'm writing, I'm just writing. I'm not thinking about like people's reaction to the writing. I'm not thinking about how it's going to go over in a place that I'm playing at. I just am trying to figure the song out, you know? And then once it's figured out and I'm testing it out for the first time, playing it in somewhere solo, or if I'm arranging it with the band, I'm kind of like, that's when I'm gauging the reaction, just because I'm curious. But that's the only time, that's the point where I start thinking about the other people. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Well, the band, people that you know, people you work with, people that help you create the music, are going to have a different reaction to your writing compared to me as a consumer. Because I don't play instruments, I don't produce, arrange, I don't do anything like that. So I'm going to have a different reaction to your music compared to people in the industry, people that do create. I'm not a creative, so my take on your music is going to be a lot different than, you know, people that you surround yourself with that help you create, that are creatives themselves.
Yeah, right.
So I think, I was just wondering, you know, playing live, the songs you put on the album, you have to be able to play those live.
Oh, yeah.
Is it, when you write, do you ever shy away from certain things because you think, I could make it work in a studio, I could put this on an album, and I think it would just rock, but people are going to want to hear this, and I don't know if I could hit this the first time when I'm playing live?
No, that's really interesting. I think there's definitely people who do write that way or do work that way. I always, maybe just like purely for my ego, I have to be able to play the thing the whole way through by myself with nothing. I have to be able to do that. And everything else that's just added on, it's like, if all my band was like, we are all sick, goodbye, you know, like, and I had to go play a band show that was supposed to be a band show by myself, I can do all the material alone. That's really important to me. Now it's like when I'm producing, you know, when I'm thinking about what I want on the song, that's in the room with me. When I'm writing, I do think, oh, you know, I hear this and this on this. Whenever I do record it, I hear what production I want on it, or like I get inklings towards that. But the identity and the structure and like the whole song is contained within itself. And I might like write a guitar thing or a vocal thing that challenges me, and I might need to actually practice it and kind of like get myself there before I can play it live. But that's always the goal, is to play it. Yeah.
What role does mental health play in your music?
Oh my God.
Because you do show vulnerability in your music. And I think that makes a good writer, a good artist, someone who can go up there and just open up to the audience?
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of scary to be like too confessional, you know, like there's some people who go really hard into that and I'm just kind of like, oh my God, you know, but they're like, this is about my cheating ex, you know, or something. And I'm just like, you know, I never kind of go with stuff that's that overt, I don't think, but like, yeah, I mean, you know, I have my stuff. We all have our stuff. And for me, you know, I write about it. And so whether it's about, you know, working in the service industry and having whatever gripes I have about that, or, you know, being in that fearful self-sabotaging kind of cycle, you know, yeah, mental health is all part of it because it's all just me, you know? And so it's like the music's coming from where I'm at in a given moment. And unfortunately, usually that's when I'm feeling maybe not good. Because a lot of artists will say this, that like it's a lot more difficult to write a good, happy song. It's a harder emotion to capture without it being kind of like saccharine, you know? Like, I've written like a couple happy songs, but it's a trick. Versus, I think it's easier also. I think people can really relate to and want to connect with like the catharsis of a more, you know, sad or even like angsty song. You know, I think that's why those emotions really grab people and move people, because those, I don't know, because it just hits harder. But yeah, so mental health plays a role just because it's like, if I'm in a low place, chances are I'm going to write about that and it's going to find its way into the work, you know? So.
What do you want listeners to take away from your music? What feelings do you want to convey to your audience?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing is like, I want it to find the people who need it. You know, and so they can take from it whatever they want, you know? Yeah, I don't know. Like, the songs mean what they mean, like to me when I wrote them and when I recorded them. But now that they're out, they can mean anything to anybody. I've had people say really interesting stuff to me about the meanings of some of my songs and saying, is this about this? And I've gone like, oh no, it's not about that, you know, but it was only because they were asking me. It was like, I wouldn't want to demystify that for them if that was giving them some kind of an experience that they needed to have, you know, like.
So you want your song to fit where it needs to fit in the consumer's life.
I think oftentimes, I mean, it's pretty clear, but like, yeah, if it's the emotion, like even if somebody's not really listening to the lyrics, and if just the emotion and like the delivery of the music is like hitting for them, even if they don't like speak English, like I don't care, you know what I mean? It's just if they need it and it's there for them, then it's worthwhile, you know?
Yeah. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get into this second beer.
All right. Sounds like a good idea.
All right.
I'm enjoying this Flamingo Road. It's really nice.
Well, I have picked Careless Hipster from Tenfold Brewing here in Nashville, and this is a 5.6 ABV hazy IPA.
All right, let's go.
Gotta be careful.
I won't skip the aroma test this time.
Well, that beer is definitely hazy,
Oh, yeah.
without question.
Doodly doo. Cheers.
Ooh, ooh. What
This
do you
smells
get?
really good. I haven't had an IPA in a minute. That's really nice.
What are you getting off this one?
Man, I'm rusty. I'm getting IPA off this IPA.
Well, I'm getting fruit. I'm getting tropical fruit, without question.
Yeah, it's giving pineapple for sure.
But I'm getting a subtle sweetness, kind of like a fruit juice sweetness. Maybe
Yeah.
like a natural sweetness.
Almost like, okay, hear me out. Almost like straw, like a hay bale. I know that's kind of weird, but
No, you can get that from the malt.
like not. I mean that in a very good way.
Yeah. Kind of like hay, fresh baled hay on a summer day.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, fresh baled hay and tropical fruit.
The
What-
age-old pairing.
What do you expect out of this beer, just based on the aroma?
I expect it to have that kind of nice sort of like bitterness that IPAs have. It's very like this is an adult beverage kind of feeling. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully.
Kind of a thick. I mean, like maybe a little bit creamier mouthfeel than that other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, creamier mouthfeel. I like that. Yeah. It's not harsh though.
No, it has really good citrus notes,
That's good.
but I'm not getting much as far as the sweet. Not really. I actually thought this would be a little bit sweeter.
It's more bitter like an orange peel.
Yeah,
Kinda. It's
yeah.
got that sort of bitterness to it.
And I'm actually glad that it's not as sweet as I thought it would be.
Yeah. And this is called, do you know why it's called this careless hipster? You know
Nope.
anything about that?
No, I don't. They have unique names for their beers, and I always enjoy. I like going into beer stores and just walking down the aisles and looking at the names of some of these beers and looking at labels and just enjoying the art of the whole thing. I mean, careless
Yeah.
hipster. How did you come up with that? And some of these breweries that they'll take a can and their label
Yeah.
is the entire can.
Yeah.
I've seen beer where even on the top up here there was art. And
You know, Southern
from-
Grist is really good for that. Southern Grist's beers all look really good. Like their cans, their designs are always really like impressive to me.
Yeah, well, it's it would. I think it would be unique someday to, and this is going to sound weird, but I think I would go. I think it would be unique one day to walk into an art show that is nothing but can art nationwide. I mean, the number of breweries
Yeah.
nationwide, the number of different labels that they have put out over the years. I think I would
It's
like
real,
to
yeah.
see an artist who could make art out of beer cans. I think that would be you. I would definitely go. That to me would be a lot of fun
That's super cool.
because
should
so
do
many cans and bottles have labels that could be art in and of themselves, but if you could combine labels
Right.
and make a bigger picture, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's just me. So let's talk about videos and shorts, which I classify as videos.
Yeah.
How are you promoting this EP with video?
Oh, like on like reels on Instagram and stuff. When you say like a short, like,
Shorts, or let's say long form video.
right?
Are there any plans to take a song and do a long form video?
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I actually did. I did a live video for Used to It, and I also just released a long form concept video for Used to It as well. So Used to It got 2 videos for some reason, because that's what I was feeling. Because it was a single, so I wanted to put a lot behind it. So you can find those on my YouTube channel. The live video was really fun to do, and that was shot at Gnarly Whale Studios here in town. They're really awesome, like video production recording studio that I'd wanted to work with for a while. So my band went in there and we got a really good live take. And that performance is not, I mean, it's not edited. There's like maybe one edit in the whole thing or something, but like looks very polished, really nice multi-camera angle. But it's nice because, I mean, it's a performance. I'm not like lip syncing, you know? Yeah, and I'm really proud of that. It's a really awesome video. Really good value. They do a really good job. So we did that in December and put it out in January when I was putting out Used to It. And then I wanted to have another piece of video content to put out after the whole EP had been released. So I just did a little DIY video with my friend Mara, excuse me, too many M's, with my friend Mara at my home in Nashville here. And we had the best time with that. And yeah, just like me and a friend who I'm really comfortable with. And this wasn't a live video, so I was lip syncing to the recording. And I was just like, would feel really self-conscious and kind of like awkward, because that can be kind of cringy, you know? But my friend made me feel really comfortable. And so I was wearing actually like this jacket, and I was in my bathtub, and I was just like singing to the recording. And that was really fun. And we got really like, yeah, they're really good with that kind of thing and coming up with these creative ideas. So we had a lot of fun with it.
Do you feel the video has helped with the music as far as promotion, or as far as getting your true feeling, your true emotion out there? Do you feel that video has helped that?
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, I think it's fun just to have some visuals to associate with the song, so that people can kind of, yeah, it further cements, you know, like the experience and the journey that the song takes you on. Having like a visual experience. I mean, music videos are so great, and I don't know, I feel like they used to be more important than they kind of are now. I don't know, like with MTV and the way that things are now. But I don't know, I love my friends when we were in like elementary school, and we'd sit around like, you know, the family computer at my friend's house, and we would just watch like music videos, because it was just so fun, and it was such a cool way to ingest like the music that we liked. And so yeah, the being able to now make music videos of my own is it's a really fun creative outlet. You know, if I had much bigger budgets, then of course I would be able to even more further convey, you know, what I'm trying to convey. But there's something fun about the challenge of just like doing it kind of DIY and trying to make it cool still, which I think we did that, you know.
Okay. If you had the budget to do the professional video, do you think you would still do DIY videos?
I'd probably do a combination, because like there's a lot of value in each way. I mean, like it'd certainly be nice to have the option. No, I had video ideas for every song on this EP. I mean, I was like, in a world where I, raised a lot more money than I did, I was like, had all these plans. Like, I still would love to go back and do a music video for Waitress. And I have like a whole concept for that. Again, it's anybody who's worked in restaurants would see this and know what I'm talking about. But like, or bars have, this disgusting sink that we call a dump sink. And it's where before you stop, it's your little pit stop on your way to bringing everything back to dish, where you're pouring the Bloody Mary that's left and the ice and the okra and the mimosa and the beers. All this nastiness is going into this dump sink, and periodically it gets emptied out so that it doesn't get clogged because it's got like a little grate in there. And I just wanted the whole video of Waitress to be just different dump sinks in Nashville, and for things to just be getting poured in and not even see any people, any faces, but just this like disgusting.
Well, why can't you do that?
Social anxiety. I didn't feel like going to a bunch of restaurants and asking to film their dump sink. I could have. I definitely could have.
I mean, it's Nashville. If you walked in with a camera,
I know.
people would be like, yeah, this is weird. Yeah, you can film it. I want to see the video.
Yeah.
Because that would garner so much interest, I think.
Well, and I kind of want it to look a bit psychedelic. Like I'd want it to have like kind of a weird filter on it that was made it look kind of like trippy, but we're really just looking at this like disgusting stuff over and over. And I think at the end of the video, I wanted it to be then there was going to be something would switch like, oh, now we see people's faces, or now I haven't really ironed that part out, but I have ideas, I'm not like a cinematographer. But I do have ideas.
Well, I like raw, uncut videos, personally.
Yeah.
When people first started putting these type shorts or YouTube videos out, I didn't really like it because I was used to CMT, MTV, the high production videos.
Yeah.
But I see something different when I look at these raw, uncut videos shot with cell phones, shot with black and white cameras, where you see the artist making mistakes, where you see the artist laughing, where you see the band poking fun at each other. Or if it's a serious song, you can see the artist's interpretation of the emotion in the song.
Yeah.
And then maybe it gives me a new appreciation for the song.
Right.
Because I can listen to music and not really get anything from the music other than, yeah, I kind of like that song. It's catchy. Or, man, they were just in a bad place when they wrote that song. But I kind of like it. I kind of,
Yeah.
But if there's video to go along with it, I can see where the artist is, where the inspiration for the song came from. And I can have a bigger, better appreciation for the music. Because there are songs out there that I enjoy the beat or the keyboard or the guitar, but I don't understand the song.
Sure, totally.
Because I just don't get it. If there was a video to go along with that song, it would give me an understanding of why the artist put, why these lines are in that song. I don't get it. It doesn't seem to fit. if there was a music video that showed me why those lines were in there, maybe I would appreciate the song more. Or if it's a song I'm calling, whatever, I'll listen to it, but I'm not, over the moon about it because I don't understand it. I really don't want to sit around and think about a song to make it make sense to me.
Right. Because, I mean, it might not, that might not be the point, I mean, like, there's a lot of songs that I listen to for different reasons. There's a lot of music I listen to for different reasons. It achieves something different for me. There's songs that I listen to for their lyrical content, and there's songs that I listen to for their musical content and, like, the energy of the song and how it makes me feel. And I might not, like, necessarily know in certain types of music, lyrics are not, front and center. And it's just the vibe and the feeling that you're going off of, and that's enough, But, I mean, like, music videos are they're an opportunity to, like, be creative, but they're also, everything you do visually as an artist is an opportunity, whether you're indie or on a label or whatever, it is an opportunity to further solidify your visual identity to people, to anybody who's finding you, like, newly discovering you. And so I think as much as I would love to, like, ignore that sort of aspect, it is an important part of it to kind of be showing people your aesthetic and your sensibility and what kind of stuff you would wear or put in your video, all of that, so.
Do you think it gives your fan something else to appreciate about you?
Yeah, I mean, like, when I'm consuming music, I think, like, when I really like a band, when I like an artist enough to be interested in them, like, to go look on their YouTube or something, and then I see, like, what they look like and how they present themselves, that, again, it further cements their identity to me. It's like, if I'm just interested in them, I'm also interested in them personally, not just with their music. And so I'm like, what are they doing in their video? What are they going for? I'm always interested in that, so.
So you're a fan of video?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a part of it,
I think it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I think it's probably more important to the indie artist than most indie artists would believe or give it credence. I think YouTube probably gets a lot more attention than just playlist. Because I can go to a playlist on my phone, or I can listen to a song and go to, let me go to playlist. But usually I'm doing something. And unless the song really jumps out there.
Right.
But if I'm subscribed to an artist on YouTube,
yeah,
and I see shorts or I see long form video,
right,
and I get a notification, Ray put out a short, or she put out a long form video, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to consume that. So I'm hearing the song and I'm seeing the video. So like you say, it's going to solidify a place in my head when I hear that song.
Totally.
From now on. Or if I hear someone say, Ray Duncan, latest single, blah, 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 in my head, I can picture you.
Right.
I can picture, okay, these are the kind of song, or this is what I expect.
Yeah.
And I think video really has a lot more. I'm almost to the point of saying you should probably put as much effort into making a video as you do into making a song.
Yeah, I mean, and that gets into kind of a whole other thing. I mean, it's like, because I came onto this earth to be a musician, be a composer. And So yeah, it's like if I was in a position to have people who I could work with regularly, like if I had like a team of people who I could collaborate with in visual media, that would be great to be at a place where I could do that, you know. But until then, it's like, you know, there's something really sweet about the long form, you know, song length music videos, because it's an attention span thing.
Right.
It's like requires you, like you were saying, to actually listen to it, and it's a way to get you to listen to the whole song, but because you're having this visual to watch with it, you know, versus the sort of feeding of the algorithm on socials, on Instagram and whatnot. You know, I do feel kind of pressured or compelled to make these really short reels that kind of pull people in as quickly as possible with some kind of a bait and switch tactic, you know, and that's just really not like what I came on this world to do. You know what I mean? So it's a funny thing. I mean, I try to still look at it as a creative outlet, and I look at it as an aspect of like growing my career and growing my, you know, listener base or whatever. But it does, I've talked to a lot of other people about this, and you do feel kind of coerced into that aspect of it, the whole sort of social media game. And then the algorithm changes, and something that you were doing that was working last week is no longer generating the same results, you know. And so it's kind of a difficult thing to try to keep up with when you're also trying to like be good at music, like be good at your instrument, or do your vocal warm-ups, or book your shows, or all those other tasks that we have to do, you know. It's just kind of interesting, but yeah.
So booking shows as an indie artist, you have to do everything. You have to book shows. Mm-hmm. You have to set up the stage. You have to tune your own instruments. I mean, you're literally your own roadie. Is that just part of it? I mean, is that the grind? Is that what up and coming artists should get ready to do? They need to be their own booking agent. They need to have...
You are everything. You are your everything. You know? And you also have to believe so much in yourself to the point where it's like delulu. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be like practically delusional in order to think you have any business doing it, I think. You know what I mean? But...
Well, do you think, since you've moved to Nashville and had to take over everything, do you feel that you've grown as a person, as an artist, from the grind?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, like, yeah, I mean, it's a weird path to be on, you know, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. Obviously, I have a straight gig. We all have straight gigs, you know. It's like an important thing. You got to have a steady paycheck, you know. I do some music work that I do composing work and stuff that also pays me really more than any of my artist stuff ever has, you know. So there's also that kind of work. But yeah, you have to believe in yourself, and sometimes it is, when I was 13 years old and I was singing in my garage and I was like, I only want one thing in this life. I definitely did not think it would involve as many spreadsheets and as much, you know, emails. But here we are. That's the day and age that we're living in. And yeah, you do got to kind of do it all, you know. And there's always like a new thing. There's always someone who's like, oh, you've got to get blah, blah, blah. You've got to get, you know, Sync Smoosh. Or you got to get, you know, there's always some new like website that everybody's got that you don't got, that you need to have in order to XYZ, you know. And so it's a funny hamster wheel to kind of be on. But I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm complaining. I don't want to be doing anything else. I've tried to do other things, but I've just realized that like spending any time trying to figure out a different profession is just way too much effort and time for me to spend not doing music. So I kind of have to be like all in on this one thing, you know? So
Is the hustle worth it?
I don't even know if I would, like, it's not worth it. It's just like, it is what it is, you know? I mean,
do you think it has made you a better artist?
the hustle, no, it hasn't, but it's a necessary evil.
Has it taken away from your creativity?
Yes.
In what way?
Well, I mean, I can't blame the hustle on this. Phones are, the phone is addictive, and social media is addictive, and I want to use it as a tool, but, it's very often, it's a time waster, and also bad for mental health, because you open it and just see like something crazy, and then you're just like, wow, that's horrible. Now I can't sleep, that's a part of a bigger conversation for the detriment of social media on, mental health and like society as a whole. But, to artists, yeah, it is like a weird thing, because people aren't going to pay attention to you unless you have a certain amount of activity like on your socials. And there's like this pressure to be performing with those numbers. And that is not what I came into this profession to do. And so it does suck for it to change like that. I lost the plot. What was your original question?
Okay, well, you know what? Let's move on.
Yeah.
Do you have any goofy songs? Do you have any music? And I'm not talking about recorded. I'm talking about just a song that you enjoy playing that is just goofy. It's kind of crazy.
I mean, I write like goofy songs like in my car driving all the time. That aren't like real songs, but they are, I mean, like before I have done music with my dad, and we have like a serious band called Ranchers for Peace. But before we had our serious band, when I was like younger, like a teenager, or like 12 or 13, we had another sort of unserious band where we wrote silly songs. And one of the silly songs was called "It's Not Your Birthday, But It Is."
Oh, please sing me just a little bit.
That's all I remember. Okay. That's all I remember of that song. But it was like, "It's not your birthday, but it is," like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some other good ones in that bag. Yeah, it was a silly time. Am I allowed to swear on here? I can't remember.
Yeah.
I wrote a silly song about the Kroger parking lot in East Nashville, the Gallatin one on Gallatin in Eastland.
Yeah.
It's a very short song.
I was actually there today.
I was as well.
I didn't see you, so we were
different
obviously
times.
Right.
I used to sing it when I would take my mom there, and I would go. It was when they were doing all that construction there, and it was just like a nightmare to even try to be there. And I would just be like, "It was a shit show, hellhole, baby." And that's the whole song. So
It's kind of anywhere right now.
shit show, hellhole.
Yeah, in Nashville. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
Especially in East Nashville. Good gosh.
Hey, I live in East and I love it, but they are always up to something. And I'm just like, what are y'all doing now? I'm just trying to get to work. Like,
building. It doesn't matter. They're building.
There's metal plates. There's potholes. There's metal plates. There's closing this lane. They're doing that. They're always up to something.
Well, of course. I honestly cannot remember the last time I could drive from my house to work and I didn't see 17 dump trucks.
they're making stuff happen, man. I bet there must be some kind of a reason that I don't understand.
Apparently there is a housing shortage in Nashville. Mm-hmm. I don't see how that's possible. Yeah. I really don't. I mean, the amount of residential properties that are going up every single day in this city is unbelievable.
Yeah, they're just cooking them up, man. Busy people.
How do you feel about Nashville, coming from California?
Well, I mean, I always tread lightly on this because...
No, I want your honest opinion.
Well, no, really, because I always pass the mic to people who are actually from here, you know, because the thing is, I just don't even know, okay? Like, I confess I don't pay enough attention to, like, what is happening in this city, and I really should. What I do know is that the scenes that I'm a part of, the things that I get to enjoy being here, make it worth being here to me. I still think it's where I want to be as a musician and at this stage in my career. Yeah. As far as like the actual city and whatnot, they did better with the snow this year. I mean, like, you know, we weren't all stuck in our houses this time. They got more plows or something. I don't know. But, you know, yeah, it appealed to me coming from California. This place felt really real to me. Yeah. And I mean, I came here for music, and I actually found myself on Broadway the other night, which I never go down there. You know, they don't let people like me near Broadway mostly. My kind of music. Right. That touchy-feely, like, indie shit. So, but I played at Acme the other night, and it was really nice. And, but just driving down that main strip of Broadway and the neon, and I was like, man, this is fun. You know, you got to drive so carefully down there because everybody's drunk and trying to cross the street, and you don't want to, like, hit someone and make them die. But just all the neon, and when you roll down the windows, you can hear everybody playing drums at the same time. And I was like, this is awesome, you know? Like, I don't come down here that often. I'm not going to go to any of these bars right now, but I like this. This is really cool, you know? So my take is more positive. You know, I know there's gentrification. I know there's all these issues with the tall and skinnies. I see everybody moaning about the tall and skinnies coming up, you know? But the truth is, like, I just don't know. I don't have much of a comparison. You know, it's like I moved here when Douglas Corner was still open. They closed after the pandemic. I've seen a few pretty iconic, awesome businesses like that get shut down, and that's a real shame. But, you know, there are some places that still hold true, hold strong, you know, and I think the community, like, makes sure of that, you know. So I don't know. Are you from here? I forget. Did we talk about this?
Yes, yeah. I am. Born and raised. So
what are your thoughts on that?
I hate every single bit of it. All of it.
Why are you here?
Well, three reasons. One, it's my home. Mm-hmm. Two,
that's why you hate it.
No. Oh, wait. Why do I hate it? Or why am I here? Why do I hate it?
Yeah, well, okay, in whatever order, however it comes up.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
Why do I hate it? Because so much I grew up out in the country. I grew up out in the woods. I ran the woods growing up. Rode motorcycles. I mean, I would get up in the morning, eat breakfast, go out, fire up the motorcycle, and just be gone all day. Run in the woods, me and my dog and friends.
Sounds idyllic.
I just, you know, enjoying nature and creating havoc. You know, and that's what I enjoyed. And so much of the green space in Nashville is being destroyed every single day. And they're putting up these tall skinnies or these condos, and it just doesn't match the homes that are in the area. And it just, everything looks so odd and mismatched, but they keep coming with it.
Yeah.
And it's taking away from, in my opinion, it's taking the Nashville out of Nashville.
Yeah.
And they're closing these iconic venues that have been here forever. The venues that made musicians. And when you take that away, you knock the building down and put a condo there.
Or just another, like, not cool venue. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and I think from my perspective, it seems like there are not enough venues for the number of artists in the town who already live here, not to mention the ones that show up every single day. And now everybody's having to fight for less time because the venues aren't there. So it's not like you can go play this venue Monday night and then play this venue Saturday night because they're already booked up.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think okay, why don't you speak on that? If you're going to go out and book your own show, do you find it easier or more difficult to do now than when you first started doing it?
Well, again, like, since I've lived here for less than 10 years, I feel like my data is not as important of a metric. But I mean, I have always found it hard, and I still find it as hard. It's sort of, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's very saturated, but it all kind of amounts to like who you have a connection with, who you have an in with, you know? So if you're out in the community and you're like showing up for people and you're going to other people's shows and you're like doing that footwork and you're not just asking and never giving, then people will notice that and will start to give you shows, you know, or they'll start calling you if they've got like an open slot, you know. That's a good feeling, you know. Now people have me in their head and they go, oh, like, you know, Ray could play there. She could do that. We need somebody for this day. Let's get her, you know, like that's because I've proven myself to be a, you know, stand-up citizen, whatever, you know. A
competent musician, artist, singer, songwriter.
Yeah. So there's like that aspect of it. You have to like establish yourself and show up for people. Otherwise, yeah, it's like if you don't know someone and you're trying to just go in through a front door at one of these like bigger venues and they say like, oh, I'll give you third hold on this date. And I'm just like, really? Like, why even bother? What is that? What is third hold? That's 3 people have to cancel or 2 people have to cancel in order for me to get this date. Like, why do you do that? You know what I mean? I mean, I guess occasionally those people cancel and then you get the date, but I'm like, that's just kind of a silly way to do things in my opinion. But I mean, I know that's how things are run at sometimes, you know. It's just I guess that's a very long-winded answer, but it depends on the venue and the type of show you're trying to get. Now, if we're talking about paying shows, that's like a whole other thing. If we're just talking about getting up on a stage, it's not too hard to just get up on a stage here and be heard. But if you want paying gigs, now that's a little bit of a different thing. So
would you say that collaborating with other bands is key to making it in this town?
Yeah, like being cool with other people and like showing up and and just like if you get put on a bill with a band and you like their sound, like connect with them and being like, hey, we should do this again. Oh, I can get us in at this place, blah, 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 like, yeah, just helping each other out when you can,
So it's the art of connection.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah.
What other bands, local bands, indie bands, do you enjoy? I'm not going to say touring with, because it's not a tour, but playing with or being on the bill with.
Well,
what other bands support you?
Well, I mean, obviously, you know Toy Dinosaur. You know those guys very well.
Yeah.
They're one of my favorite bands here in town, and we've done a bunch of shows together, and they're great. They're great people. Their music is badass, and they've just been awesome, like, supporters of me from the get, and they have hit me up a lot of times to be a part of cool shows. Also, I mean, other women artists who play with full bands, like, because obviously I have a band, but I'm like Ray Duncan, so I mean, other bands, people that I've played with, I mean, this isn't a band, this is more of like a collective, but the Pin Drop Songwriter series is my friends Stevie Ray and Kieran McMullen. They're a couple, and they do this songwriter showcase. They've been doing it for years, and they created an amazing community through that. And they put people on stages, and they give people access, and they're really enthusiastic about the new artists, and they're artists like themselves. And so I've played shows with them and whatnot as well. But there's them. There's Gears. You got Gears on your wall. They're cool. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there.
All right. And while I work on my next question, I believe I'm going to go ahead and take a intermission.
Intermission? Got it.
Intermission. All right.
All right, y'all, so while they're at intermission, I figured I'd come in here and introduce myself. My name's Harkos. I not only edit this episode, but every episode here on Two Beers with the Band podcast. But aside from that, I have my own podcast called Music Making Sense Podcast, where it's all about music marketing, branding, and how to have success, real success, as an independent artist. Every single week, I drop a video breaking down tips and tricks that independent artists can do to help grow a real and sustainable fan base in DIY ways or in very cheap, low cost, but effective ways as well too. If you are an independent artist, or you happen to know somebody who is an independent artist who could use some information, tips and tricks, and just deep dives into a lot of the problems that independent artists deal with when it comes to marketing and growing their fan base and finding some great real solutions on how to overcome them, musicmakingsense.pod.com is where you need to go to check out any and everything Music Making Sense Pod. I drop a brand new episode every single week, and I also have a live stream Wednesday exclusively on YouTube where I play independent artist music from all around, and I do a deep dive on their social media as well too. So if you are interested in any and everything Music Making Sense Pod, musicmakingsense.pod.com. All right? Appreciate y'all. But aside from that, this is the end of part 1 with the great episode here with Ray Duncan. And if you've enjoyed it and you want to find out more about Ray and check out part 2, you need to make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification button. That way you get notified every single time that a new episode here of Two Beers with the Band podcast drops, especially part 2 with Ray Duncan. You don't want to miss that, all right? So if you'd enjoyed part 1 and you want to see part 2, or you want to continue watching more great episodes and never miss a new one right here on Two Beers with the Band podcast, make sure you like, share, follow, and subscribe. Hit that notification buzzer and never miss an episode. So until the next time, we'll see you on part 2 with Ray Duncan.
Never thought I'd feel so tired in a old house.